of many of us, including me. So we'll talk the Poindexter collateral damage. We will talk Clemson's head coach and Tony Elliott coming to the mix. So a lot to cover on today's program, guys, on the Thursday edition of the I Love Seville show. I got a tip from some concerned citizens about some late night issues in the 10th and Page neighborhood. We'll talk about those. Skill games coming back online, which is disappointing. Skill games are the casino games you see in a lot of the gas stations and convenience stores. We'll have that conversation on today's program. We'll ask what's wrong with UVA basketball, and we have the contract details of the new Virginia Tech head football coach. A lot to cover on the show. Give it a like and a share anywhere you are watching. Judah Wickhauer, we can start in about 20 seconds, my friend. Guys, welcome to the I Love Seville show. My name is Jerry Miller. Happy Thursday to you. Live in Charlottesville, the Commonwealth country and the world on the I Love Seville network today, presented by Skooma Boutique Dispensary. Skooma Boutique Dispensary on the Charlottesville Downtown Mall, located next to Rapture Restaurant, the best dispensary in Charlottesville with certificates of analyses for everything in the store. Skooma Boutique Dispensary. A lot to cover on today's program. Skill games are back. The gambling machines you see in convenience stores and in gas stations tucked in a cubby or corner of said convenience store or gas station, they are back online, and we will see hundreds, if not thousands of them across the Commonwealth of Virginia, most likely by tomorrow. That topic for you on today's show. I got a tip from a concerned resident. Late night door knocking issues in the 10th and Page neighborhood. We'll give you some details on what families and couples and individuals and elderly residents in the 10th and Page neighborhood are experiencing after midnight in the 1 a.m., 2 a.m., 3 a.m., and 4 a.m. ranges in the 10th and Page neighborhood. Uncertainty, vulnerability, fear, anger, feelings experienced by residents in the 10th and Page as we speak, as they feel a lack of control in their homes. Always a terrifying proposition. We will talk food truck that's for sale. $49,500. Get you a pretty good looking food truck, at least from some photos online. We'll give you those details in a matter of moments or minutes here on the program. Tony Elliott is looking like the new ball coach at the University of Virginia in Scott Stadium. Why Tony Elliott? Who is Tony Elliott? How did we get to this point? What happened with Anthony Poindexter? Let's analyze the Anthony Poindexter soap opera and saga. How does this impact Brennan Armstrong, our most valuable player on the roster, and his decision to return next year? All those topics and more, including does the Tony Elliott hire invigorate the Virginia fan base, in particular wealthy alumni who are going to open their wallets, checkbooks, and purses if Anthony Poindexter got the job? Now that Poindexter's staying at Penn State, does that mean new football infrastructure and facilities will be slowed in their development? That topic on today's show. And I got to ask the question, what is wrong with the University of Virginia men's basketball team? A loss to James Madison University earlier this week left all of us scratching our heads and wondering, hey, what's going on with our who's? Dr. Scott Wagner of Scott Wagner Integrated Medicine, a part of today's show. Scott Wagner and Scott Wagner Integrated Medicine. Who's got your back? Dr. Wagner and his staff have your back at Scott Wagner Integrated Medicine. First topic of today's program is the return of skill games. Coming online again to the Commonwealth after a judge granted a temporary injunction against a state ban. Here's a little background and nitty-gritty. What are skill games first? You guys have all been into the gas stations and convenience stores, right? And you've seen folks posted on stools or chairs, kind of tucked in a cubby or corner of the gas station or the convenience store, playing what looks to be like some kind of video game crack. Hours spent on stools, pumping singles and $5 bills into machines with the hope, the pipe dream of making money with these ventures. The skill games prey undoubtedly on the folks living on the financial margin in our communities here in the Commonwealth. The skill games undoubtedly prey on individuals, we'll cut to the chase, that may not have the most robust of education on them. Hermie Sadler, a former NASCAR driver and owner of truck stops in the Commonwealth of Virginia, filed a lawsuit challenging the state ban. Now, thanks to a judge's temporary injunction, thousands of skill games will be back online as early as tomorrow in the Commonwealth. Look, I'm not one for the government telling me what to do or determining how entrepreneurs and business owners can run their shop, their store, or the wares and products that are sold or purchased within their shop or their store. I'm very much a free market guy, and when people ask me, what party do you most identify with? I most identify with the party of common sense. Skill games are a gray area that is concerning. They prey on the weak. They prey on the marginally financial margin of folks in our communities, and they prey on individuals that don't have the most robust of educational experiences. The likelihood of benefiting or gaining return on investment ROI from a skill game is few and far between. Few and far between. And having these skill games in places like gas stations and convenience stores offers accessibility, offers a level of engagement that online gambling and casino gambling do not. Online gambling, there's a barrier of entry. You're downloading the app, you're connecting your account to it, there's a level of sophistication. Casino gambling, you're driving, you're leaving your city, you're going into a brick and mortar that could be tens of miles, hundreds of miles, hours away from your location. Skill games at the convenience store down the road offer a level of accessibility and approachability that online gambling and casino gambling cannot. And that accessibility and approachability means more of those living on the financial margin can participate. So we're seeing much in a way like taxes being a regressive tactic that impacts those on the margin more than those that have deep pockets. These skill games, exactly the same, impacting those that are already struggling at a greater clip than those that have resources and means. We'll see them. You'll see them. I'll follow the story. I'll continue to offer perspective for you. I would encourage all those that are playing, you're going to play regardless, to realize that the likelihood of you making any money on this or turning this into a quote-unquote side hustle is unrealistic. Unrealistic. Next topic I want to cover on the show is a tip I received before the program, and I will leave her name out of it, but please realize I'm so very grateful when you guys offer perspective and ideas for the show. And 90% of the time, if not at a greater percentage, I incorporate or integrate your perspective and ideas into the program. Good to see you too, Ray Cadell. I know you have a take on the skill games. And I believe, if memory serves correct, you're not a fan of the skill games either yourself. So let's talk what's happening in the 10th and Page neighborhood. The 10th and Page neighborhood, a gentrifying neighborhood, however, still a historically African-American neighborhood, is experiencing late-night door-knocking issues that are aggravating, infuriating, causing concerns, vulnerability, certainty issues within the neighborhood. Judah, check your Facebook Messenger there if you could. Actually, you know what? I'll just send it. I sent it to the wrong. We'll rotate the shots if you could. Thank you, my friend. I sent it to the wrong person. Don't sweat it. So here's what's happening. There is what is the perfect description of this? A trap house, Judah? Is that the description of a home that's utilized for illicit activities, often at night? I believe it's a trap house, right? There's a trap house in the 10th and Page neighborhood that is getting a lot of traffic. And this traffic is leading to individuals that are patronizing this trap house to knock on the doors around the trap house, asking home residents for money. So according to the viewer and listeners that watch this program that asked me to highlight this topic with the hope that the topic will make its way into the mainstream media, the folks that patronize the trap house in the 10th and Page neighborhood are then cold call, door knocking on homeowners and renters within 10th and Page, asking, begging, or pleading for money. And this door knocking is happening in the vicinity of midnight to sunrise. So residents, longtime residents, new residents, homeowners and renters alike are experiencing wake-up calls at 2, 3, and 4 in the morning. And the knocks do not stop until someone answers the door. The banging on the front door continues and continues and continues. This obviously is causing fear and anger and uncertainty and vulnerability and infuriation in the 10th and Page neighborhood. And the residents don't know what to do about this. And the reason they don't know what to do about this is a crime outside of trespassing is not truly being committed. And our police force in the city is operating on skeleton crew aspects. There's not a lot of personnel. There are a lot of open positions. So the police has to choose which calls it's going to prioritize and answer. And the calls that are being forgotten, ignored, or because of a lack of personnel, the resources aren't there to answer them, are these door-knocking calls in 10th and Page. I wouldn't want, you wouldn't want, someone banging on your door at 3:30 in the morning, begging or asking for money. Would you? I wouldn't. That would scare the hell out of me if someone was banging on my door and got me to get out of bed and answer it at 3:30 in the morning. Would it not scare the hell out of you? I'm sure it would. So you're left with this chicken and an egg scenario. You don't have the police personnel to answer all the calls. So the calls that are being answered and prioritized are the ones of that are more severe from a crime nature standpoint. The ones that are just kind of at the tip of the crime pyramid, trespassing and banging on front doors, begging for money, are being forgotten, ignored, or deprioritized. I would like to position this into the news cycle for people to pick up. The residents of 10th and Page do not deserve this kind of living conditions or experiences. If you have any other tips you'd like to relay to me, send me a DM, text message, or email. The email address is jerry@iloveseville.com, and we will most likely relay your perspective, your story ideas on the program. The next topic we want to cover, we love covering entrepreneurship and business, and we see an opportunity for somebody. The former A Taste of Home Southern Cuisine food truck is for sale. $49,500 asking price. You can find it on Craigslist as we speak. It's a well-designed food truck. It looks like it is in very new and good condition. The truck has a new 12,000 watt generator that is more than sufficient for the electrical equipment the truck needs. You're looking at a low mileage truck, diesel engine, remanufactured engine installed in 2018, brand new 12,000 watt electric start dual fuel gas propane generator mounted on the block. $49,500, I'm sure there's some negotiation wiggle room because this is the asking price, is not a bad price point for someone looking to get in the F&B restaurant game. The brick and mortar restaurant could be your dream, but you're looking at a 3, 5, 10-year lease with increases every year and a hell of a lot of skin in the game and financial commitment. At $49,500 for a food truck, you can try your idea of F&B, of restaurant and food service within a truck that you can take to wineries, breweries, concerts, and other high-traffic corridors in Charlottesville and Central Virginia. At $49,500 asking, you can negotiate that, I certainly would. Finding a loan for something along this lines is manageable and doable. It's on Craigslist. Look at businesses that are for sale, contact the seller, and get ready to get to work. Not an easy business, but the financial commitment is not steep. Let's get to football. How many of you are perplexed with the Tony Elliott, Anthony Poindexter saga? I certainly am. We have outlets like the Daily Progress, outlet like my first boss, Jerry Ratcliffe, other outlets like NBC 29 and CBS 19, early in the week saying, look, it's pretty darn close to signed, sealed, and delivered with Anthony Poindexter going from Penn State to Charlottesville to be the next head coach of this Virginia football team. The fan base was excited. Alumni was excited. Ticket sales were upticking just on the rumor alone. The wealthy alumni were ready and eager to open pocketbooks and checkbooks and wallets and purses. There was rumored that one wealthy alumni was ready to get the donations rocking and rolling again to the tune of $20 million from one family. I highlighted earlier in the week that the athletic infrastructure for the football team is way behind its competitors and peers. And 17 and 18-year-old young men looking to play high-level college football consider and weigh the advantages and disadvantages of athletic infrastructure and facilities when making their decisions of where they're going to play college football. For years now, Bronco Mendenhall, before him, Mike London, we're highlighting the deficiencies in infrastructure and facilities within the football program. Poindexter had the je ne sais quoi and the brand and name appeal to get alumni donating again, to get ticket sales jump-started again, and get butts in the seats at Scott Stadium. The last sellout, Southern California, here in Charlottesville years ago. Unfortunately, the Poindexter deal didn't work out. We're hearing it's not money. Instead, athletic department control with asking certain assistant coaches to remain on staff. We've also heard that the academic requirements within the football program were a topic of conversation with the Carla Williams-Anthony Poindexter negotiations. Now, it looks like the front runner for the gig is a guy who was told last week that he would not get the gig, and that's Clemson assistant Tony Elliott. Last week, he's being instructed by athletic brass at UVA that you're likely not going to get this job. Now, yesterday, they returned to Tony Elliott and say, hey, we're sorry we bypassed you last week. We're now interested in giving you the job after all. Multiple outlets are confirming or have confirmed that Tony Elliott and his staff arrived in Charlottesville at Cho, the airport, yesterday. You have reporters in South Carolina that are taking photos and pictures and video of Tony Elliott and his staff at the airport, and you have reporters taking photo and video of Tony Elliott and his family arriving in Charlottesville. Elliott has the credentials and pedigree, and on paper, you can say because of his experience at Clemson, national champions, because of his largely more vast experience than Poindexter with calling plays as an offensive coordinator. Remember, AP was a co-coordinator for 1 year at Penn State. Tony Elliott's been doing this for a long time. He's held the offensive coordinator responsibility since 2015 in Death Valley. Long time. He's got a proven track record of quarterbacks like Trevor Lawrence. He's got a proven track record in tailbacks and offense and hardware, team hardware, and assistant coaching hardware. This guy was the assistant coach of the year, Tony Elliott. What Tony Elliott does not have, that Anthony Poindexter does possess, is name recognition within the Virginia fan base. And the name recognition within the Virginia fan base should not be undervalued or underestimated. The fan base for this football program, one word describes it, and it's apathetic. When you close the season with losses to BYU, to Notre Dame, to Pittsburgh, and have a horrendous loss on your home turf against Virginia Tech, where a botched play at the end of the game, a 3rd down and 8, a lateral to an offensive lineman, and then seeing Hokie fans steam and storm the field of Scott Stadium after the game, those are the sour tastes left in the mouths of orange and blue faithful. That's what I feel, that's what I taste, that's what's resonating with me now. Close the season with a number of losses in a row, and then watch Hokie fans rush our home field. That's what I'm remembering, aren't you? Poindexter had the name recognition and brand recognition to energize and jumpstart a lifeless body on an operating room table. Poindexter from day one, hell, from day one of the rumors, not even day one of signing the contract, from day one in the rumors, was driving ticket sales, getting folks ready to donate. Tony Elliott doesn't have that same je ne sais quoi. He may have better credentials. He may have a deeper resume. But he's not going to energize the fan base to the same tune Poindexter would have. Now, the next question you should be asking yourselves is what the heck is going to happen with Brennan Armstrong? Brennan Armstrong told the Richmond Times-Dispatch on Tuesday, I'm reading the article now. David Teal of the Richmond Times-Dispatch on Tuesday, that he is going to wait on making his decision of returning to UVA for next season until two things are decided and settled. Item number one, he wants to gauge his draft stock. Where does he shake up in the National Football League from a draft potential standpoint? The second thing, he was very straightforward to David Teal of the Times-Dispatch about. He literally said, I need to see what happens with the coaching staff before making this decision. Here's the quote Armstrong told the Times-Dispatch. Quote, with our new transition of coaches, most of us are just trying to see who this next guy is. Who's going to still be here? Who's not going to be here? Who can we get to stay here? Who can't we get to stay here? The future is not decided. We're just all kind of playing it by ear and trying to be patient with everything. Whatever decision I make, I know it's going to be the right one. I don't ever look back when I make a decision. End quote. Dudes, dudettes, listeners, and viewers, that is as honest a quote as you will get from a quarterback and collegiate players you will ever find. I don't know what my mind is thinking right now. I need to see who the head coach is going to be, who the offensive coordinator is going to be, and who the quarterback's coach is going to be. I also have to get a feel of what my fellow teammates are going to do from a transfer portal standpoint. If you're Armstrong and you don't know the coaching staff, you don't know the offensive coordinator, you have a new quarterback's coach, and you have offensive linemen and skill position players transfer, and a defense that isn't improved, of course you're going to consider the NFL or transferring to another school. Armstrong, from an NFL standpoint, how do you think he stacks up? You think this is a starter on Sundays in the National Football League? Do you think he's a backup? Nothing wrong with being a backup in the NFL. Backups in the NFL have, in a lot of ways, the best job on the roster. You hold a clipboard, you make millions of dollars every year, you can do it. Look at what Chase Daniels has done. Look at what old Chase has done. Chase Daniel has been a career backup in the National Football League. A career backup in the National Football League. Washington Redskins, 2009. New Orleans Saints, 2009 to 2012. Chiefs, 2013 to 2015. Eagles, 2016. Saints, 2017. Bears, 18 and 19. Lions, 2020. Chargers, 2021 to present. Chase Daniel has been a career backup in the National Football League and has earnings of over $30 million. Over $30 million of career earnings for holding a clipboard. Before you say Brennan Armstrong is a stud starter in the National Football League, look at what he's done at the collegiate level. I want you to remember the quarterback right before Brennan Armstrong, Bryce Perkins. When Bryce Perkins was playing football for UVA, the guy was Superman on the field. He was jumping over defenders. He could get out of the pocket and scramble. He had an arm. He was a dual threat quarterback. He was a winner. He was a record-setting quarterback. He knew how to lead a team. He knew how to get into the end zone. Bryce Perkins is a practice squad player. Bryce Perkins' future in the NFL, as more quarterbacks leave college and go into the league, Bryce Perkins' future in the National Football League is uncertain. We can make a legitimate argument that Bryce Perkins has far superior athleticism when compared to Brennan Armstrong. Brennan might have a better arm, a more accurate arm. Brennan certainly had the advantages of playing with an incredibly deep wide receiving core and a tight end in Mr. Woods that's going to be playing on Sundays, being a very experienced offensive line. From my standpoint, Brennan's got a couple of things working against him. He's not a super tall quarterback. And he's proven over the last 2 years to be somewhat injury prone. I love Brennan Armstrong. I love watching him play. I love the offense this season. It was exciting, enthralling, engaging, up-tempo. But we can all say that he was injury prone the last 2 years. And part of that is him bringing it on himself, not sliding, not getting out of bounds, looking to be physical and run through linebackers and safeties. The slide is the quarterback's best friend. To say he's a lock to play on Sundays is far-fetched. My hope and your hope, the city of Charlottesville's hope, Albemarle County's hope, economies in Central Virginia's hope is Armstrong returns. But he's not going to return until he sees the coaching staff and which of his teammates transfer and his NFL draft stock. And that's called being a good businessman. Now, a couple other items out of the notebook today. I want to get to some of Virginia Tech's compensation perks for their new skipper, Brent Pry. Athletic Department in Blacksburg, Virginia Tech, announced the basic financial details of a 6-year deal worth $27.5 million. Brent Pry has an annual salary that starts at $4 million, head football coach, Virginia Tech, a new guy. Annual salary starting at $4 million for the first 2 years. Remember, he signed a 6-year deal. The 6-year deal was worth $27.5 million. First 2 years, the dude gets $4 million a year. It'll go to $4,750,000 in 2024 and $5 million in 2026. Listen to some of these bonuses that he gets. If he plays in the ACC championship, he gets a $25,000 bonus. He gets a $50,000 bonus for a bowl game appearance. And a $25,000 to $100,000 bonus based on the team's academic progress rate score. His fringe benefits include a suite at home football games, and the suite includes 18 tickets that he can give away to friends and family. He gets 2 new vehicles that will be replaced every 2 years. He gets a membership to the Blacksburg Country Club and moving expenses. His annual budget for his assistant coaching pool is $5.5 million and support staff at $2,250,000. Virginia Tech agreed to increase the budget if the team wins 8 or more games. The budget for assistants would go up $200K for an 8-win season, $300K for a 9-win season, $400K for a 10-win season, and $500,000 for an 11-win season. This contract is lucrative and deep in its compensation package. Country club membership for the coach and his family. 2 new cars for the coach and family. And those 2 new cars will be replaced every 2 years. 18 tickets at a suite at Lane Stadium. Every home game, he gets his own suite with 18 tickets that come with it. $4 million for the first year, $4 million for the second year, and in year 3, $4,750,000. Bonuses for ACC championship, bowl game appearances, and academic progress rate card incentives as well. The business of football is so big. And so many people say, how do you prioritize the football coach over the econ professor, the psych professor? How do you prioritize the basketball coach over the star physics professor? Why does Tony Bennett and Tony Elliott makes so much more damn money than Larry Sabato and Ken Elzinga and Lou Bloomfield. Because 40 to 65,000 people don't go to Larry Sabato or Ken Elzinga's lectures. 40 to 65,000 people don't sit in Lou Bloomfield's physics hall. A few other million people don't watch Bloomfield's How This Works physics class on national TV. When Virginia football was clicking, before the losing streak to close the season, going into that matchup against BYU, hell, even after the loss to BYU, going into the matchup against Notre Dame, this program was on national television constantly. The brand awareness and the brand recognition and the improved equity behind the UVA brand increases astronomically with this kind of national television and national media recognition. The perfect example of that is Google, when this show is over, how applications upticked for Virginia Tech after Michael Vick and the Hokies went to the national championship. They didn't win it, they lost it. But look at how applications uptick after Michael Vick's invigorating season in Blacksburg. People wanted to go to Virginia Tech. That's why the coaches are paid so much. And speaking of one, everyone's asking, what is wrong with this Virginia men's basketball team? A loss to JMU earlier in this week has got a lot of people concerned and scratching their head, and we should be. One of the unfortunate aspects of long-term success is extremely high expectations. The expectation now for us as Virginia fans is ACC championships, Sweet 16, Elite 8, and Final Four pushes. Do you remember before Tony took over this program? I love you, Tony Bennett. Tony Bennett, I'd give you a flying chest bump right now, dude. You are A+ people, TB. Remember before TB took the job? This is a doormat program. Forgotten, ignored, laughed at, demoralized, depressed, disturbed, disgusted, and downright downtrodden men's basketball program. He turned it around. And now the expectation is ACC championships and deep pushes in March. Well, guess what? It's looking like a little bit of a down year. Your two best players are transfers from other schools. You don't have a dominant scorer on the roster. The best one you have who can be the most dynamic scorer on your roster is Armand Franklin, and the man disappears from contests. Disappeared against Navy, disappeared against JMU. He disappears from contests. Your most consistent scorer is an undersized post player that does not have a lot of length and can't jump that high. Gardner's going to outwork you. He's going to outmuscle you, but it's basketball. And height and length and jumping ability are critical components of the game. Mr. Gardner is a 4 that has the frame of a slashing 3. By no means am I giving up hope on the season. I would never do that with Tony Bennett as the head coach. But this will be as difficult a test for Coach Bennett as he's had since he's gotten to Charlottesville. You don't have a dominant scorer, and the defense doesn't have the pack line principles or athletic length and talent like it has had in the past. I thought the JMU loss I hope the JMU loss will be a wake-up call. The scoring droughts that are happening are concerning. Don't give up yet. But for the team to be good, you're going to need 4 to 5 guys to do double digits in scoring each game. You don't have the depth of 1 or 2 to take over. All right, let's get to comments. I encourage you, Judah's reminding me, I encourage you guys to follow I Love Seville on Instagram. We have the 3rd largest Instagram community in Central Virginia behind UVA and the city of Charlottesville. All right, let's get to comments. Scott Aaronworth, well played, Scott Aaronworth. Scott Aaronworth is watching in Virginia Beach. He says, let's give Siren a shout out for opening today. Amen, brother. Scott Aaronworth, the Esquire in Va Beach, who may be Charlottesville's biggest foodie. He comes to Charlottesville for 4 and 5 day benders, which he calls foodcations. He has an agenda and an itinerary for every time he visits this fine city. Scott Aaronworth, just moved to Charlottesville. You're beloved here. Scott, just moved to Charlottesville and enjoy this food every day. We know the business is in the Va Beach area, but you're beloved. Move to Charlottesville, Scott. I bet your dad would love to hear in heaven that you moved to Seville, Scott. He says, let's give Siren a shout out for opening today. Laura Fauner, her restaurant in the old Shabine location, now open for business officially today. I gave Chef Fauner, entrepreneur Fauner, owner Laura Fauner props earlier this week. COVID was tough on her. If it was not for COVID, she'd be the owner and executive chef of Dooner's restaurant right now. Instead, she's poured her heart and soul into revitalizing what I think is a phenomenal space in the Shabine Pub and Bra. I stacked that outdoor space up as a top 5 outdoor veranda in the city of Charlottesville. What outdoor space is better than the Shabine veranda? Remember, it's covered. So while it may not be as large as Miller's on the downtown mall and its outside seating, come inclement weather and come really cold or really hot weather, there's not a lot of folks outside sitting at Miller's. The veranda at the Shabine has fans, air conditioning, and I believe, if memory serves correct, some heat, and it certainly has the rooftop covering over it. So the veranda at the Shabine, much like the covered area at the Biltmore, can be utilized during inclement weathers at a greater clip and frequency than many other outdoor spaces in the city. Interestingly, Maya Restaurant on West Main has a fantastic outdoor space that often is tenanted in come winter. So I'll ask you that question and put it in the feed. James Watson, I'll get to your comments. Jojo Robertson, I'll get to your comments here. Scott Aaronworth. Anybody that's watching, Johnny Ornalis, Kevin Higgins, I'll get to your comments. What veranda or outside space in the city of Charlottesville, city limits only, what veranda or outside dining space could potentially be a top 5 in the city? I think the Biltmore's in there. I'll put the Shabine's Siren's outdoor dining space in there. What other outdoor dining spaces are in the top 5? Covered and cooled or heated are critical to make it literally year-round dining. The Shabine, the Siren outdoor space might be the only one that is covered and cooled and heated. I'm trying to think. This literally is off the top of my head. Ooh, 3 Notch. That's a good call, Lauren. Very good call, Lauren. 3 Notch has got a good one. That one's tented in. Three Notch could be top 5. That's a good call. Very good call. I say Biltmore's probably 1, isn't it? Three Notch is a good call. Very good call. All right, let me get to Kevin Higgins. Ooh, Johnny Ornalis says Beer Run. I'll give Beer Run in there. They've kind of enclosed it, Johnny, with the COVID. Here's that tired word that gets utilized all the time. They pivoted. But I'll give Beer Run's outside space is legit. What would you guys say is the top 5 outside spaces for dining and drinking in the city of Charlottesville? I'll still say Biltmore is my number 1. I'm going through Elliowood Avenue. Buddhist, Crozet Pizza Buddhist Biker Bar just says outside, similar to what Miller's has. Coupe de Ville's has just kind of outside, similar to what Miller's has on the downtown mall. Then you go on to the corner. It's just outside seating, nothing covered, nothing heated, nothing cooled. You go up West Main. I've highlighted Maya Restaurant as one of the better ones. Little Star is just outside seating, right? That's not heated, that's not covered or cooled. What's the New Orleans restaurant? The Cajun New Orleans cuisine in Belmont?
Is it the Galley?
No. That's got pretty good outside seating. Southern Crescent.
Yeah, Southern Crescent Galley.
It's Southern Crescent. Okay, Judah Wickhauer's helping us out. The Local, now that might be number 1, dude. What Adam Frazier has on the back deck of the Local, which he built, he's got a Class A contractor's license, the owner of the Local, who also owns Junction. The Local probably has the best outdoor setup. That elevated second floor outdoor eating, dining area, drinking area, it's got al fresco feel, but it's covered. That might be your number 1. I think, and to dot the I's and cross the T's on what Fauner and Siren are going to do, I think she's going to crush it. I think she's going to continue to evolve the menu. It's not going to be the menu you see now come, as she gets more experience running her own ship. I think that menu is going to continue to evolve. I think it's going to head even more to, Scott Aaronworth, good comments, I'll get to these. I think the Siren menu is going to head even more to approachable, digestible stoner food. I think she'll have a late night crowd out there because she likes to have fun. The parking is easy. It's essentially downtown. She's got a bar, a big-ass dining room, and a fantastic veranda. That place is ready to do some serious business. And the partnership with Hunter and Champion is a bona fide partnership for both parties. For both parties. I mean, obviously the financial contribution and the back-end infrastructure that Champion can offer the hospitality group to Laura and Siren. But as Laura builds a fantastic clientele and a loyal following of diners and drinkers, that's going to be beneficial for Champion, who undoubtedly is going to have beer on tap and in cans for guests to drink and try. The way that he's scaling his brewery business through unique partnerships with restaurants and restaurant operators is very smart. Like a lot of these breweries, we're opening up tasting rooms around Virginia. We've seen tasting rooms around Virginia for Three Notch. We've seen tasting rooms around Virginia for Champion. Three Notch, for example, has got one in Roanoke. Just opened one in Virginia Beach, okay? Hunter's done the tasting room route before. He had one in Richmond. He closed it down. The idea of doing a tasting room and combining it with a restaurant experience and then empowering the brains of the restaurant or the operator of the restaurant to do their thing is smart. He did this with Craig Hartman at the Champion Ice House. You go to Champion Ice House in Gordonsville, dudes, that fried chicken is bona fide. It is so freaking good. Scott, have you tried the fried chicken at Champion Ice House. You need to try it if you haven't, Scott Aaronworth. It is bona fide. But you go and you fall in love with Craig Hartman's menu, the BBQ Godfather, the barbecue Godfather, the smoked meats Godfather, Craig Hartman. You fall in love with his menu, and then next thing you know, you're drinking a pitcher of Missile. And if you're new to the area, you're getting a feel for the beer. So he's doing this tasting room concept of the breweries we're doing, of opening tasting rooms strategically around the state as a marketing tool, as a revenue generator, as a way to get people drinking the beer. But he's doing it in a way that it's amplified, and that he's combining it with owner-operator chefs who are opening unique restaurants, and part of the caveat is having the Champion beer on draft or on the menu. It's clever. It is clever. And it still offers the brand recognition and awareness that he's looking for from the tasting rooms. Ray Cadell, I've been out on the road with my band on an Elvis tribute. It's nice to be able to keep up locally through your network and programming. Thank you, Ray Cadell. Ray Cadell, you were one of the early watchers of this program, and I'm grateful. Another one is Kevin Higgins, who's commenting right now. Kevin Higgins said, Tony Elliott is going to take us to the next level. His life story of resiliency is unbelievable. I encourage anyone to read up on it. He is the right person at the right time. Save this post. UVA football will go to the next level with Tony Elliott. Bet the farm on it. Elliott is the best team builder in the sport today. Get ready, Seville. We're about to get a beast of a coach, the real deal. And then he shared a link. Well, I will check out this link, Kevin Higgins. He shared a link from Sports Illustrated, from industrial engineer to the architect of Clemson offense. This is the Tony Elliott story. Spurred by a career change, one of the top employees of South Carolina Michelin plant would go on to coach one of college football's most dynamic attacks. So he goes from, for almost 2 years, Elliott worked under Kim Neal as an industrial engineer at a Michelin tire plant in Anderson, South Carolina, the largest such plant in the entire world. There they examined, refined, and manufactured pre-processed rubber, distributing it to other plant sites for the creation of actual tires. He goes from an industrial engineer at a tire plant to most likely the head ball coach here in Charlottesville at the University of Virginia. Kevin Higgins. Love you, Kevin Higgins. Love you. I will check out this Sports Illustrated story, Kevin Higgins, and relay some highlights of the story on tomorrow's program. You, the viewers and listeners, can influence the topic and conversation matter we have on this program. I am not BSing you here. One of the viewers and listeners that's watching the program now, may I use, I get the impression I can use her name since she's commenting on what we talked about. Do you mind, JR, if I use your name? Okay. It seems like I can use her name. Do you mind? Okay. So JoJo Robertson passed this along to me. JR. Thank you for the tip, JoJo. She passed along to me that in the 10th and Page neighborhood, random strangers are knocking and banging on people's doors at 2, 3, and 4 in the morning, begging for money. And they won't stop knocking and banging on people's doors until the homeowner wakes up, gets out of bed, puts their slippers, their jammies, and their robe on, and answers the door. If I'm answering the door between 2 and 4:30 in the morning, and someone is banging relentlessly on my front door, I'm answering that door with some of the following feelings: incredible anger, fear, trepidation, uncertainty, and vulnerability. Those are feelings that you should not be experiencing in your house from a stranger banging on your door between 2 and 4 in the morning. The unfortunate aspect of what's happening is the police department in the city of Charlottesville is so under-resourced and under-personnel that this is not being prioritized like it would otherwise be prioritized. I'd like to get this into the mainstream news cycle. Can you imagine for me for a second, if in North Downtown or in the C&O row houses between Beer Run and the downtown mall, can you imagine if people who patronize a trap house go to North Downtown, bang on the door of the C&O row houses or the North Downtown neighborhood. Can you imagine what the reaction would be from those residents? This would be front and center of every media outlet out there. And because of the influence, money, influence, race, influence, profession, police would begin added patrols of those neighborhoods. 10th and Page, on the other hand, under-resourced, marginalized, forgotten. The issue is being deprioritized. Jojo says, some people have suggested calling peace on the streets instead of the police, but I'm not sure if they are equipped to help out neighborhoods. I am in agreement with you there, Jojo. James Watson, one of the early watchers of this program, love you, James Watson. Tony Elliott is entering a school that arguably doesn't prioritize football, which is a much different culture than Clemson. I naturally wish Mr. Elliott luck as he's got his work cut out for him. I agree 100% with that, James Watson. Going from Clemson to UVA is like going from a Tesla to an El Camino. Clemson football to UVA football is literally going from arguably the top program in the nation outside of Alabama from a resources standpoint, in a recent pedigree standpoint. And then going from Clemson to Virginia is a Tesla to a Model T or a Tesla to an El Camino transition. Good comments there, James Watson. Wow, Kevin Higgins asks, Tony Elliott's father is in prison. He saved his mother after a car crash as a child. He took care of his family and finished engineering school with a 3.55 GPA. Good knowledge right there from Kevin Higgins. I'll read that Sports Illustrated article you sent to me, KH. I'll read that article to you. And I'll stand by this comment. Vanessa Parkhill, hello. I will stand by this comment. If you just look at the resumes on paper, Elliott's credentials and Anthony Poindexter's credentials. Just on paper, one sheet of resume side by side. Tony Elliott's credentials are way more impressive and way more baller than Poindexter's credentials. Tony Elliott is a bona fide head coach in waiting. Poindexter's credentials, you don't have a lot of play calling experience on that resume. Tony Elliott's got serious play calling experience on his resume. Anthony Poindexter's credentials, you don't see assistant coach of the year. On Tony Elliott's, you do. Record-setting athletes under Tony Elliott versus record-setting athletes under Anthony Poindexter, the scales tip way heavier to Tony's side. All I'm highlighting and emphasizing here, fan base engagement from the beginning would have been jump-started way faster, and alumni donations to close the gap in athletic facility infrastructure, that jump-start of alumni donations would have happened way sooner under Poindexter. Tony Elliott, for all intensive purposes?
All intents and purposes.
Tony Elliott, for all intents and purposes. Judah Whitcower, thank you. Tony Elliott, for all intents and purposes, is a no-name when it comes to the Virginia fan base. Poindexter is arguably I'll say this, one of the greatest Virginia football players of all time. Vanessa Parkhill, if that happened in some places, the knocker would be greeted with a shotgun. I hope no one gets hurt. Seriously, and that's what Judah is nodding his head over there. Dude, if somebody was banging at your door relentlessly at 3, 4 in the morning, you got to be concerned about the safety of your family, right?
Better be good.
Right?
This better be good.
Yeah. You'd be terrified about the safety and concern of your family. And someone pulls a shotgun or a gun, I mean, and then you open the door and you see it's an individual who's patronizing a trap house. A trap house is a den of illicit activity and illegal drugs. Isn't that a good description? Would you say that's how it's described? Illegal activity and illegal drugs are enjoyed or experienced at a trap house, right? You would say that? Wouldn't you say that? Yeah. You open the door, the person's banging relentlessly on your door at 4 a.m. You get out of bed, you put on your jammies, you put on your robe, you put on your slippers, you walk from your bedroom, down the hallway, into the living room, you unlock the deadbolt, you unlock the doorknob, and you open the door, and at 4 a.m. as you're half awake, well, you're probably wide awake then because someone's been banging on your door and woke you up before the alarm sounded. You open the door and you see an individual that was previously at a trap house or a crack house, and they're asking you for a $20 bill. All right, that's today's program. This is the Thursday edition of the I Love Cville show. Kevin, I will check that article out. Undoubtedly, I will check that article out. Thank you for joining us on today's program. The rooftop at Quirk is another outdoor area that's been highlighted by Scott. Scott, good call with the rooftop at Quirk. The rooftop at Quirk, though, is not covered. Is not covered, and it's not heated or cooled. Good luck to Laura Fauner today with Siren. Check out Siren in the old Beer Run location. Thank you for joining us, guys. We'll catch you on the flip side. In fact, we'll catch you tomorrow at 10:15 a.m. on Real Talk. You guys have a good afternoon. Take care. Dude, how would Big Jim Lukauer respond to someone banging on the door at 3:30 in the morning?
He would